Iron Man Air Tag is one of those games that's part of the Sarge's universe as Sarge's Heroes or something that's around there. So Iron Man Air Tag is a shooter game that's like you're in a chopper and you shoot down enemies with missiles and anything else out there. So there are 16 missions in this game, which I should mention that there's a 64 version, which the differences being is the graphics and the music, which there are some differences, and the name was also known as Air Combat. I think it's probably because of the Nintendo's friendly family thing, but who knows? Because that's only the name on the Nintendo console versions, as you'll probably be hearing. But for me, I always find the controls in this game much better in the Nintendo 64 than opposed to the PS1. Considering you can shoot and strafe at the same time with certain buttons much better in the maps. So, this game came out on PS1, Nintendo 64, and PC. There's a Game Boy Color version, but that's for another time. So, you go around, shoot down enemies, you complete objectives. And you essentially need to do some objectives like protect the base from giant ants, or maybe you just gotta take down enemies or escort a train. But there are some stuff you can grab. Now, each different chopper has their own differences in terms of like specials. But for this one too, is that you collect these power-ups for like ammo for your missiles and whatnot. So there's like a regular missiles, homing missiles, and whatever else. There's also two ways to save your progress. It's either password saves or buy a memory card on PS1 or Nintendo 64. And two is that the game will receive highly positive reviews for having much fun gameplay, and when you guys do play this game, I think you'll have much fun playing it, as there's like so much to shoot and whatever else you have to do. Now, I'm just gonna save you guys the trouble too, so the final boss in this game is a pain in the butt. And I cannot believe I'm saying this, I still have not beaten the boss. This is one of the games that has like one of the most unfair bosses that you can even face. Doesn't matter how many times you keep shooting those things, they just never go down. Unless they might have simplified it on Nintendo 64. But again, it's the same game, it just has a different name, plus it's just, well, has a different soundtrack as I previously mentioned. But this game would ultimately get a sequel at some point soon, also on PS1. But also coming to PS2, but later on the GameCube, which there'll be a video for another time. Now, one of the biggest differences too is that the Nintendo 64 is just lacking voice acting. I think it's just because on the PS1 version, they do tell you what to do while you're playing the game, but the 64 version is completely different unless there's certain aspects, or at least some parts of it, they'll tell you what to do. Unless you actually read the mission description of each thing, so you know what you're doing before you just do whatever you want and then you just mess everything up for yourself. But don't worry, there are like healing pickups for this game too, so in case you're in trouble with healing, you can always find like a green box and you can heal yourself, or maybe an enemy base will have, or maybe your green ally base will actually have something like that. But there's also these blue enemies, so if you find them, you should be able to get some additional specials. So keep an eye out for them, as they could be pretty useful to you if you're not too careful. But there's gonna be like tanks, towers, and plenty of bases for you to shoot in this game. So you're gonna have to come up with your own strategies as to how you're gonna take these things down. But this is actually proven to be one of the most fun games you guys can even play. So I could just simply say that you're going to have a fun time regardless of which platform in the PS1 or Nintendo 64, as they're pretty cheap to get, so it's not really that complicated in terms of pricing. I should also mention that the PS1 version supports the use of a right analog stick. You can strafe, but the only problem is that the fire button is the X button, so that's why I just simply say that the 64 version had like better controls, because you can easily strafe and fire instead of like doing that. You can strafe with the bumpers, but it just feels dumb and weird doing such thing like that. But That's just me, but maybe your experience might be different. So, let me guys know what you think about Army Men Air Attack if you guys grew up playing that game or at least just having fun playing it.